Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Benton.
And I'm Lindsay.
And we are West Coast Elements.
Today we are joined by a very special guest down from the west coast of California.
Ray! So because Ray is from the coast of California, today we're going to be asking each other questions to compare the northern west coast from the southern west coast.
Are you cold? Do you want a little bit of my sweater?
No, I'm used to the northern climate.
I'm not.
I'm not.
Very windy, wow.
A question, is it always so windy?
So who's going to ask a question first? My first question for you, Ray,
Yes.
is why would someone from California come visit British Columbia?
The weather, the environment, and the, I guess, atmosphere is different from California. You guys have Whistler, Olympic Village, which is super fun. A lot of different hiking trails, and it's so much greener up here than it is in California. I know people come up here all the time for mountain biking, for hiking, for the mountains. It's the same as California without with going international.
Western culture.
Yeah.
Literally.
All right, so I have a question for both of you. The weather is the same all year round. December, hot. January, hot. July, extra hot. Extra spicy. So for the activities that you can do around here, how does it vary from summer to winter?
There's definitely a large winter sports kind of community, especially because we do have Whistler, and a lot of the local ski resorts are, like, you can get to Grouse Mountain 15 minutes from downtown. So there's a lot of people who, even though it's super hot and wonderful in the summer, people just sit and wait around for winter because they are like ski bums and all they want to do is be in the snow.
There's a small window for outdoor sports like baseball and stuff like that because it rains here so often. So soccer is the one sport that is played in all weather conditions and is never really affected by that.
It affects me.
Sports get canceled a lot, even in the summer here, because of the rain, where I'm sure that's not something you ever have to deal with.
What is rain? So how much rain in whatever unit of measurement it is do you get a year up here?
Definitely have to look that one up. For example, I think last year we had an entire month that it rained every single day.
Yep. I think that did break some sort of record, but it was close. Here's something to put it into perspective, is that when we get 2 full weeks of sun uninterrupted by rain, that is really rare.
Can't relate.
How do you deal with sun protection? Like, is that something that you really have to like budget for?
You always see people too with the really big ass hat. So even though it's super hot, you want to wear, I like a rash guard if you're, here comes the train. Stay tuned for this short break.
It's 7 o'clock already.
It is.
Yeah. Train smelled bad.
Yeah, the train smelled really bad. And we're back. Okay.
So even though it's really hot in California, the water's often like super cold. So people wear wetsuits, rash guards, surf shorts. Sunblock is, people budget for it, but they usually buy the really high SPF. But most people try not to stay out in the sun too much.
That's interesting though, is that when we get sun here, we want to be like in direct sunlight, so that's why we always wear sunscreen. But since you have sun all the time, you're like, I don't need to be in it all the time.
And I mean, you wouldn't know because I'm pale. So I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so animals, way different from California. We have, if you didn't know, tarantula mating season warnings. I was disappointed when I first came up and I didn't see moose chilling in the water.
I think there's a big misconception with a lot of the wildlife in BC. When I ask people what are the barriers holding you back from going outside, a lot of the time it's because people think that they're going to encounter dangerous wildlife, when in fact out of all of the times that I've been out hiking in the wilderness, I've never encountered a bear or like an angry deer or moose or anything like that. No cougars, tracks of bears, but I've never actually seen one in the wilderness, and I think that's because we know what we need to do to keep them out of our area that we are in, preventative basically, so we don't do anything to invite them in, so that way we don't have to do anything to get them out.
Right along the coast of Vancouver, it's like water, city, and then mountains. And beyond the mountains is when the wilderness begins. The only times I've seen a bear and a moose has been like in those really small towns up in the mountains.
The mountains that we have on the coast are really moist, and they have a lot of the bears and things. They're bigger near the coast because of their diets, and they have lots of salmon. The animals that live on the east side, it's a really dry climate like in Kelowna and Kamloops, and wildlife is completely different than on the west side of those slopes and those mountain ranges.
We do have tarantulas and rattlesnakes in like the interior
just on the
of
other
BC,
side.
but that's not really the coast of where we mainly live. As for critters here, honestly, it's like there's no snakes when you're walking around. Like you see maybe a garter snake.
So around California, it's not hard to see like signs that said, you know, caution, rattlesnakes. So it will be really hot during the day, and a lot of times when it's super hot, like 100-degree temperatures or 40s, they will stay in their holes in their burrows and then come out at night when the temperatures cool down a bit. So you're like out on a, you know, night run because it's cold enough to run, and then snake.
All right, so we're gonna finish it up with one last question each.
My question is, what are the coolest places around here that you prefer, and then maybe what do like tourists go to? So what's the great tourist spot, and then what's the great spot that you like?
When you're on a trail, it's easy to tell if it's been manicured purposely for tourists to try and have people come to this trail as an attraction, and there are a lot of trails like that, and they're excellent because they're really accessible and it gets people started exploring and being in the outdoors for maybe their first time. Makes it really simple and safe, but being around that many people on manicured trails takes away a bit of the wilderness aspects of it.
There are provincial parks here that are run by the government that are kept beautifully, and of course they're the most popular. So I'd say if you are gonna try going hiking, if you're going on a trip to Vancouver, definitely look up the provincial parks because they're great and they're glorious. If you want kind of more of a fun adventure, look up ones that have been done by volunteers. A lot of people that come to Vancouver stay in the city, and you should definitely just go out into the wilderness. A lot of people go to come clubbing or to go to the beaches and stuff like that, but that's still very commercialized. So just try and get out into the wilderness at some point, like go into a forest.
It's not just, you know, the wilderness, it's being away from infrastructures that are man-made and from concrete and, you know, different things that society instills in our culture, really. Just getting away from, you know, seeing the bank for a few days or seeing fast food restaurants for a few days. If you can get out and away from those things and not see any advertisements or magazines or watch TV, it completely changes your outlook on everything. And those are the trails, those are the places that the tourists don't go, and it's a completely awesome, wild experience. So, Ray.
Yes.
What is one thing in California that you can do that you cannot do here?
I think that unique thing about Southern California in particular is that you have so many different things you can do in a small area. I mean, within like 2 hour, like top. You have Los Angeles and San Diego, two major cities. You have Laguna Beach, 15 minutes, you know, from the coast, at least for me. You have Huntington Beach, you have Big Bear, which you get your mountains. You have Joshua Tree, which you get an amazing, almost, you know, picturesque desert where you can look at the stars. That's not too far, and the way that it looks is so different from anywhere else.
I'm picking up one similarity though, correct me if I'm wrong. In the area that you live, can you go to the beach, go to the city, and go on a hike all in the same day?
Absolutely,
yeah.
Yes.
Also, there are as many people that live in California that live in the entirety of Canada.
Oh, that's crazy!
That is true. Or the entire population of Canada can fit in California.
A lot
That's
of like
insane.
So thank you, Ray, for answering our questions and being in our video today.
Thank you so much for letting me be in your video and letting me ask all the questions.
You are the first guest on West Coast Elements. That's pretty cool.
Oh my gosh.
If you'd like to follow more of our adventures, be sure to check out our newsletter. The link will be in the description. We are also still selling our stickers, and if you'd like to pick one of those up, there's also a link in the description.
Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week.
Cool. Okay, let's say bye again. 3, 2, 1.
Bye!